Thank you. Now, you know that we have a judgment debt of over 179 million Ghana cedis to pay because we abrogated a certain contract to Bankswitch. And after we did that, they went to the Hague to litigate that matter. And this is where we are. And we are supposed to have been paying this money since when? Now, it is the trade minister who is seeking to help us to settle that debt. And how does he do it? Write letters to destination inspection companies, ask them to assist to pay the money so that they can get contracts in return. He says anyone who says he's breaking any law should point him to those laws. Other than that, we should shut up. Well, there have been some developments also. The finance ministry has come out to say, in fact, that they didn't ask him to do that, and that they are in negotiations with Bankswitch to make the payment. They don't know where that is coming from. Bluntly speaking, that's what they meant to say. Kweku.
Well, you know, your introductory remarks pointed to one thing, and I would want to establish that before I proceed any further. It is obvious that we incurred this judgment debt because we abrogated a contract, not in accordance with the agreement.
That is correct.
Because I've heard some few people trying to bring in a red herring about the contract not having gone to Parliament for approval, and that being part of the reason why we are where we are. That's a red herring.
It doesn't come in at all.
Thank you, my brother. So we can put that aside. Now, this whole thing, where this destination inspection thing, look, it's a minefield. Or if you like, better put, it's a gold mine.
Yes.
But it's the two put together.
Gold minefield.
Very explosive. And it's been so for a long time. I would caution government to exercise caution and restraint where we have reached. Look, if I had my way, I would advise that they suspend all the so-called activities, the things that government intends doing, bringing in West Brew, giving Bankswitch contract, extension, all those things must be suspended. The status quo should be allowed to proceed until further notice.
And you refer to contract to Bankswitch, the Bankswitch whose contract we have abrogated for whatever reasons. We have given them a new contract in 2014.
Not yet. We're in negotiation, but I'm even told that government is retreating from that option. I'm saying that that retreat is in order.
All right.
The West Brew thing, they should take another critical look at it. I think it should be suspended. I've done my own checks on certain issues, and I realize that some of the things they are talking about, the so-called gaps that they are supposed to fill in, some of them really are being done even today by GCNet. That, if they are not careful, can also sow the seeds for another judgment debt, or if you like, litigation, that could result in judgment debt. Those destination inspection companies that their contract is supposed to expire this August, if you go details into what I've heard behind the scenes, it appears if we go in that direction, we may create problems for ourselves as well. So that's why I'm saying that the first thing to do is to suspend any actions that they've been thinking of. It's creating problems. And look, these things always create divisions even in governments and ruling parties. It was so under the MPP, and it is so under this government. It was so under Rawlings, coming from Cotecna period. Bankswitch, when it was coming in, it was a problem in the MPP. The Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade had differences. It's well documented. I have the records. Same thing is happening here. Look, that's why I say it's a gold mine and it's a minefield put together. People have to be careful. Now, my friend, very good friend, in fact, we are actually related, Spio Gabra. It's amazing. I heard him trying to rationalize, talking about the transparency that he had brought to bear on his initiative, which so he said was innovative and creative. And the transparency were in the form of things being written on letterheads, government, the Republic of Ghana letterheads, and the DICs writing also on their letterheads. The last time I checked, those things were not substitutes for the procedures outlined in the procurement law.
Right.
So I was wondering, is that a transparency? All the cases we had in court involving government officials in recent years, many of the documentations and records were on official records, letterheads. Whether it was willfully causing financial loss to the state or it was fraud or thing, they were all written on official letterheads. So that argument doesn't come in.
Does it sound to you that the finance ministry's also release that it brought out contradicts what
there's been a tough war?
Yeah.
There's been a tough war, I repeat, between the Ministry of Trade and the Finance Ministry relative to how to resolve this particular Bankswitch thing. Take it from me. They won't admit it. They will come and deny it. They will say I'm speculating.
The Finance Ministry says the steps that are being taken to pay the debt are issues that have been deliberated at Cabinet.
Yes.
So how can a Trade Ministry act separately from what Cabinet
So
is
the
considering?
Trade Ministry wanted to take the initiative. He says, oh, everything I'm sending back to the Ministry of Finance. Somebody wanted to lead the process. There's a tough war. There's enough documentation. I have seen letters between the Trade Ministry and the Finance Ministry over this matter and all sorts of things. They won't admit it. They will tell the whole world that Kubaku is lying. He's peddling an obvious untruth. That's the normal thing. All governments do it. But I say, sooner than later, when they talk and talk plenty, we will produce the records publicly for people to see.
Okay.
This whole thing is
Yeah.
a tough war. Many factors are involved. Look, I don't know what to say.
Well, we have limited time.
Okay, let him come in.
See.
Because look, it's an explosive thing with different interest groups at war with each other. And this whole thing boils down to a gold mine.
You have, for how many minutes now, been speaking in
maybe
coded language?
if we bring the figures, you understand it.
If you step on,
Can I help with the
you
figures?
can easily step on a
You
mine,
understand
on a
why?
grenade.
Okay, now briefly,
let me
let's take
bring
it
in
from
some
your
figures,
point.
okay?
Yes. Which
Now,
figures are you referring to?
If you add, for instance, all 5 destination inspection companies, if you put them together, their share of what comes in, FOB, imported goods, is 1%. Now, if you take the figure of 2013, for instance, we imported goods to the tune of $10.65 billion.
So
1% of that is how much? Takes you to what? 100 million? So, Kweku, now I'm adding something to Kweku. So this is the amount of money you are talking about. So, and of course, they help us to save a lot of money because in terms of the gap between declared duties and assessed duties. And they save us a lot of money. They've saved us a lot of money. So that's why they are paid that well. Now, if you are kicking out all 5 to bring in one company, you will ask yourself, what are the figures? And you know, if it's really for administrative purposes, is to make sure that you want to empower customs. The reasonable thing that I believe one would have done was you give them contracts and say, you have this 5-year contract. These are the DICs. We don't want to disturb how things are. So as part of this contract, you are going to train and transfer knowledge to what? Customs. Because what they are doing is basically what this one entity is coming to do. And under what circumstances? I have a letter here from the Chief of Staff, okay, dated 12 May 2015, to the Finance Minister. Nothing to do with the Trade Minister. I don't think SPO knows much about what is going on, to be honest with you. And what does it say? It says that, you listen, in pursuant to His Excellency, the President's decision, you are directed to formally engage West Blue Ghana Limited to undertake the following services. And then it gives the services. And then it ends by saying, you should take the necessary steps to secure the public procurement's approval in order to engage West Blue on single source basis. Now, this is the presidency. You have taken the decision already to give the business to West Blue. And now you are telling them to go through the public procurement procedure. And the public procurement procedure is quite clear. Just one. The section 1, it says 41. A procurement entity may engage in single source procurement under section 41 with the approval of the board where goods, works, or services are only available from a particular supplier or contractor, or if a particular supplier or contractor has exclusive rights in respect of the goods, works, or services, and no reasonable alternative or substitute exists. Are we saying GCNet are supposed to be doing the same thing or similar in so many ways?
In many ways.
The DICs, in many ways, are doing what now you are giving to this one company. Bankswitch gave you a similar offer. So under what circumstances do we say today that we should give it to West Blue? Because she's pretty? Or because what? Or their job is pretty?
I'm asking the she is wrong.
The she is wrong.
Yeah,
because their job is pretty.
That's not fair.
Yeah, I didn't mean she. I said the job is pretty. Forgive me. I have, English language is a difficult thing. So you have to ask yourself, under what circumstances is this even? And I'm telling you, we have $100 million, potentially $100 million in this area. So it seems to me, and I think the presidency has to be very, very careful with it. It seems to me it is motivated by money people can make from this than if you like giving customs the capacity, because customs are even complaining that the job that they think they can do, the valuation and classification, is being given to the lady. Oh, did I say
once
lady?
again,
I keep saying
forgive me.
Forgive me.
Personalization.
Forgive me.
It's mischief.
Forgive me. I mean, it's being given
mischief.
I think. Look, I like all this pro woman movements of the presidency. I think it has its benefits. But so it's. I think we should shine our eyes, because it appears to me it is being motivated more by corruption than competence and efficiency, or in the national interest. And those are the difficulties that I have with it.
Interesting.
Or else you would have a transition period. You would have a transition period. That will inure to the benefit of the country, not to the benefit of people's individual pockets and the rest of it. And that's what I sense.
Right.
I may be wrong.
Right.
That's what I sense.
Spio has asked all of us to point him to any law that he's in breach of by what he did, regardless of the fact that what the finance ministry has done actually, reduces what he sought to do to nothing. By the procurement process, as a minister, his power is not beyond 5,000 Ghana cedis. If he wants to raise or contract in that regard, his power is not beyond 5,000 Ghana cedis. He says this is expression of interest. If he's going to do so in regard to a project which is beyond that amount, he needs the express permission of the procurement authority to waive the advertisement that is supposed to be done, because it's supposed to be advertised.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yes, I mean, even the letter that Gabi read, clearly from the president, I would say from the president, because even when you look at the essence of a decision of cabinet, it's only an advice to the president who may not be bound by it.
Right.
So even where cabinet has taken such a decision, and looking at it, with the date there is 15th May, Mr. Mugabe was a minister.
It's the 12th of May.
Yes, 2015. He was a minister. So he ought to have been aware of this. So for him to engage in an
It wasn't copied to him, though.
Well, I'm saying that he may have been taken at cabinet, but for him to act
it's
against...
copied only to the secretary, to the president.
Well, then that tells you that he's even irrelevant, in my view.
Absolutely.
He's irrelevant. And he is only performing an executive function as a subordinate. That is what the Constitution refers to.
So even though it's his ministry that is in charge of that portfolio.
His decisions are subject to the decision of the president on this particular matter. You see, these are the sort of things some of the ministries do, which result in judgment. This is even a purely legal matter that should go to the Attorney General. Not even the lawyers in the ministries should have a final word on this matter. So sometimes the Attorney General's lawyers come to court, and you can see the frustration. And they are the ones that we criticize, but the thing had been destroyed.
Well, they have indicated they are going on to take an action again, go on strike. You remember when they did it earlier, it was stopped because they were giving some promises. They say things have not taken place. They are supposed to be on the same pay as district magistrates. They are not, or is it circuit court?
Yes,
they are
but,
not.
but let me move on to what Gabi said.
Gabi,
there is already evidence that customs have been trained. And I have here a case that was filed by Dr. Clementa Park in the Supreme Court versus Attorney General Bankswitch Ghana Limited and Get Group. It was, yes. And this is the statement of case that was filed by lawyers for Bankswitch. They have given a chronology of events. And this is what they said.
This is the case where they filed to seek to say that because there was no parliamentary approval for the Bankswitch contract, it should be declared void. And but it was withdrawn.
I understand Dr. Park has withdrawn it.
Okay.
But I got it from official sources. Now, page 7, it says, pursuant to the government's renewed commitment, 706 officers from stakeholders were given hands-on training courses, while a core group of some 38 officers, referring to SEPS officers, received continuous training in the use of the Ghana customs system. On this, I say that we don't need any DICs.
No, but the process wasn't completed. It's not fully consummated.
No, what I'm saying is, and I have heard other people who know quite a lot about this.
The Gateway project is a huge project.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is that we usually bring these problems to ourselves when we create avenues for rent-seeking and complex corruption. Because are we saying that any other person can do this job better than customs? In any case, recently we heard that some cement importers were able to evade tax or did not pay the appropriate tax, and we lost almost 1 billion Ghana cedis or so. Are the DICs doing their work well? Haven't we been hearing of similar loss? I'm saying that the most appropriate or the best people to do this job are the customs. From this, we can continue to give them on the job training, even we lawyers. Still, we do it. On the job training, let the state benefit from the over $100 million that we are talking about. And not just always give, and me.
But customs, they are also part of the problem.
Well, we can win them.
Absolutely.
We can clean them up. We can clean them up. Because it is a state institution. Why do we have to just give part of functions of state to others? And usually, I would like to look at those behind.
But something, just one point here. If we look at the imports from 2013 to 2014, we had a 40% drop in the value of imports. Okay? Yes. 40% drop. So you ask yourself, is this the time to even experiment? To take such a radical shift?
That's why I said they should suspend.
You know, so they have to take, government really has to take its time and do what is right for Ghana, not what is right for individuals.
Now let's hear from you. What do you make of all that
let's
is going
bring back
on?
the discussion. We are discussing the 197 million Bankswitch judgment debts.
And
correct. And how
other matters
how to pay.
Obviously, how to pay.
Of course.
Yes. And so it's not
how it came about.
It's not
That is also important.
How it came about, we have discussed on this platform like twice. We have subjected the whole award, the arbitral award, to discussion on this platform.
Okay, that's
so Window Blue. West Blue is not part of this discussion.
They are the interested parties who are talking about it and prompting that we are likely to incur another judgment that if we continue.
Yes.
Well, so first of all, I wish to myself entirely with the submissions of Mr. Malik Kukubaku,
the third
Malik, because the problem of GCNet, the problem of the destination inspection companies, and all the institutions, that have come into this country to do the classification and evaluation of our imports and exports, dates back to 2007 or thereabouts, or even beyond. in the 90s, and it has always been
Started in
murky.
From
1999.
1999.
That's always been murky.
Yes.
So in discussing this matter, we should try to put it within the historical context, and that's why I agree with Mr. Malik Kokubako on this matter. And the differences has always been between the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Finance. But what is this matter? This matter came up because the Bankswitch, which had signed a contract in 2007 with government to do the classification and evaluation of our imports and exports, had its contract abrogated. And somewhere in January 2010, the then President's Secretary, Babaku Mensah, had caused to write to the Minister of, both the Minister of Trade and the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning then, to look at the operations of these companies, because it appeared that those companies were duplicating the functions of each other, and so were losing money. And so an attempt was made to streamline these, the operations of this company so that we could save on the monies that were being paid to them as commissions. Now, a decision was made to refer the contract of Bankswitch to the Attorney General's office for advice. It will be important to understand what advice the Attorney General gave.
The Attorney General's advice was to the effect that the contract was valid.
Okay.
Indeed, it was presented even as an evidence at the tribunal.
Oh, good. Now, so when we cancelled the valid contract on the advice of the Attorney General, so they went to court. They went for an arbitral award and won an arbitral award to the tune of 197. Now that award said that, we should pay forthwith, or if we're going to pay by installment, we'll pay within 5 years. And within the 5 years, we'll be entitled to pay interest on the arbitral award. Now, so government considered the scenario. Now, before the Minister of Finance brought the matter to the attention of government, the Minister of Finance has suggested that Bankswitch be re-engaged. So it's not as if to say that the whole compilation and evaluation exercise being carried out presently by different companies was to be put together and given to Bankswitch. No. The Ministry of Finance had engaged the Bankswitch in discussions and negotiations as to how to pay up the 197. And as part of the discussions, they thought that 0.35% of the cargo, the goods that are imported into this country and exported, be consigned to Bankswitch as part of the settlement. Now, when the matter was brought to the attention of government, the issue was the concession being made to Bankswitch operating to reduce the arbitral award, because you can accept a smaller amount in satisfaction of a larger debt. And in this case, it was not even a larger debt. 0.35% worked out up to 1 billion cedis. And so why were we paying the 197 million and also paying and giving them a contract, a proprietary interest in 0.35% of our cargo? So the decision was, if that is the case, why don't we look at innovative ways of raising money to pay for the 197 by tendering the 0.35, open it to tender, let people express interest. And that's where I think that what Dr. Spiogabra should have done, it's not procuring any contract.
Raising a loan.
Oh, it's not raising a loan.
Oh, he said in his
It was
letter.
an expression of interest.
Well, I don't think that's even raising a loan.
No, it's in his letter. He says
Really?
advance as an amount of so.
Oh,
If you say advance, what is it?
No, I thought that as part of, if I were put in similar circumstances, as part of the terms for engagement, RFP.
Is that his job?
Request, no. Yes, you have heard Mr. Kokubako on this matter. Yeah. There have been some theft between the ministry, theft war between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade as to the operations of the DICs and the GCNet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been some
long-standing.
So So, well, maybe he was just stepping into the shoes of his predecessors in perpetuating this theft war. But I was saying that for me, I would have issued an RFP. And in the RFP, I would have stated clearly, because we are looking at for transparency and accountability.
Which we are not seeing.
I would have asked clearly. No, we are saying that. I mean, part of the first principle of the first obligation of government, and particularly the NDC in our manifesto, is to ensure a free.
You want to go to your manifesto?
Yes, my manifesto.
I thought you left it at old
open, accountable, responsible, and transparent administration. That's the first pillar. That's the first core pillar of the manifesto.
100 days, you will clean up the country.
No, I'm talking about the first pillar. Now, so
you have to wrap up in a minute.
Yeah. So in doing that, I thought what we should have done, or what you would have done, was to express it in the terms of reference, request for proposal, and indicate clearly in the request for proposal that any company who is interested in bidding for the 0.35% of the imports of this country should also indicate in his proposal how he can partner government to settle the 197
Interesting.
million.
Interesting.
I thought in doing that,
even that suggestion sounds to me, when I look at the Procurement Act, it sounds to me that you may be caught by the particular provision, I think 92 or 3, that suggests that if you do anything that amounts to giving an unfair advantage to another entity, it is a crime and could get you up to 5 years in jail.
Advantage. You are asking for a request for proposal not from a company.
Okay.
Not from a company.
Sorry, but we have run out of time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And my guests on the show have been Abdul Malik Bako, editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Also, Alhaji Inusa Fuseni is Minister for Roads and Highways and MP for Tamale Central. Also, Gabi Asari Ochiridako, investment consultant, policy and political risk analyst. Also, Yao Opong, legal practitioner and lecturer, Central University College here in Accra. I'm Samson Ayenini.